like, and I have to say, worried that we can actually deliver any of those expectations in the time available.
I mean, Raoul, what would you concentrate on if you were in the negotiating chair? What would you be most worried about? What do you think we most need sectoral deals on?
Well, look, I think they're the big obvious ones. You want to get something done on goods because of the complex supply chains. You want to try and get as much easement at the border in terms of customs. You want to do bits on services if you can, but it is quite unprecedented in FTA. So you can look at financial services equivalents and trying to make that more stable and more lasting. At the moment, it can be withdrawn with 30 days notice by the EU. So trying to do something there. And you do want to get some of the side deals on aviation, road haulage, maybe nuclear and energy and things like that, cooperation there on science and research, these sorts of deals around the side. But I think your basis has to be on the FTA and on that core stuff. And then obviously the really controversial issue is going to be the level playing field that EU wants to attach to that. So you want to try and get that done up front because that could really scupper the whole talks.
OK. Gina, I mean, you essentially, I mean, there's been so much said about what the European Union's attitude to us is going to be post this moment. What's your own view? Are you reasonably optimistic? Do you think they'll be quite cooperative? Do you think they'll really want a deal, or do you think they'll want to punish us and make it hard?
I don't think it's about punishing it. I think we're now outside the camp, as it were. We're outside the tent, sorry, if you like. And, you know, I can imagine that the EU and some of the conversations I've had is they're worried about us having a competitive advantage. And at the same time, they have to protect the EU and the member states. And I have to say that on the 25th of February, they have to decide what their negotiation strategy as a bloc is. And they've been aligned so far as we've been leaving. But in the future relationship, different countries have different relationships with us. So they may not be as aligned. But I think the thing we have to remember is that we can't have the same benefits being outside the bloc as being inside.
OK, we will see. This is a good moment to come and put all this to Robert. Robert, can I just ask you, what's your own view of the future relationship, what the pressures will be, and how this negotiation is likely to pan out?
So there's a big question, which is whether the Prime Minister is going to tilt to America as our primary ally. And actually, one of the things that's been very interesting to me since the election is actually he's positioned the UK actually pretty much as previous Prime Ministers have, particularly Tony Blair, which is as a sort of bridge between the US and the UK. We talked a lot about trade, but let's just talk about security for a second. After we saw the assassination by America of General Soleimani, the Iraqi leader of sort of insurgent forces in the the Iranian leader, excuse me, of insurgent forces in the Middle East. There was a couple of days where Boris Johnson said nothing, and there was a sort of fear that he would sort of basically applaud President Trump. He did nothing of the sort. In the end, the first statement he put out was a statement made with President Macron of France and Angela Merkel of Germany, basically calling on the American president to cool it. And so I do think, and particularly for those people who have been fearful that leaving the EU would lead us to get too close to Donald Trump, that there's no evidence that that is what the Prime Minister wants to do. He says he wants Britain to be independent outside of the EU, and that appears to be, actually, in terms of what he's done so far, you know, a not mendacious statement.
OK, let's see. Now, ever since the Brexit vote, things have been a bit uncertain for British expats who live in the European Union. I think that's a contender for understatement of the year. Now, there are around 1.5 million of them spread across 27 countries. The country with the most is Spain, you probably guessed, with nearly 1/3 of a million. 2/3 work there. The other third are enjoying retirement in a warmer climate. In places like the Costa del Sol, where thousands of Britons don't just go on holiday but live, there are plenty of reminders of home. But the summer climates of Spain are feeling a touch chillier now as expats worry about what's going to happen long term, about residency, about pensions and healthcare. The Spanish government says their rights will not change so long as Spanish people in the UK are allowed to carry on living here. So, all along the coast, British expats will be following what is decided over the next few months with very keen interest. 30 miles west of Marbella is the port of La Duquesa, and Juliet Bremner is there tonight, where it is just coming up to midnight in a bar overlooking the marina. Juliet.
Yes, we're in Kinsale's bar, which is very popular with expats, and as you can probably hear, it's a lively Friday night. It's not a Brexit party. People here have quite a lot of reservations about the fact we're leaving the European Union. I'm joined by a few of them at the moment, and I've got Sid here with me, who is a host of a local radio station. How do you feel? 5 minutes to go.
Well, it's a sort of mixed feelings, really. In one way I'm sad, in one way I'm happy. I'm sad because I was a Remainer, but I'm happy that the UK has actually, democracy has come through eventually, and basically this is what the people of Britain wanted.
Yes, but what about you here on the Costa del Sol?
Well, it's very difficult being here because obviously I run a business here, I have a home here, and we don't know how that's going to change. And also with running a business which is a commercial radio station, I live by people starting businesses here. How many people now are thinking twice about coming here, starting a business or living here?
So you're a bit nervous. Now, Angela, you came just a year ago.
Yeah.
Yet you knew Brexit happened. Why would you do that?
Get the whole Spain thing out of my system, and also, whatever happens is going to happen anyway.
You've got a teenage son, and
Yeah.
you're not worried about that?
No. I'm a resident of Spain now. Doesn't matter what happens in the UK.
And I think, Callum, you are a policeman on Gibraltar, a rock just down the coast here.
Yes, Royal
What
Gibraltar.
are your concerns about the changes that may happen?
Well, for me personally, and for many people that live and work in Gibraltar and live in Spain, the Spanish have held it to ransom in the past, and we fear that they may do it again. There's been border queues constantly, and I fear personally for my and my colleagues coming in and transit in and out of Spain, and us not being able to do so and work for the Royal Gibraltar Police.
You're with a Spanish partner, you have 2 children. You did think about getting a new passport, didn't you?
I did, but I'm proud to be British. I'd like to remain in Spain whilst being British, and I'm proud of my British heritage, as are the Gibraltarians.
And do you think that we are going to see a lot of nervous people in the next 11 months as these changes are discussed and debated?
We've seen nervous people when it first started. I remember a few locals that we know and we love very dearly in the first few days when it started, sell up and leave their houses. It's very sad.
Yeah. And do you think that it's going to be okay for you as a business?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
All right, well, on that positive note, back to you, Tom.
Juliet, thank you very much. Well, 3 minutes to go. Nigel Farage is on stage in Parliament Square. Nina is with him.
Thank you, Tom. The crowd around Parliament Square has really built up as we edge ever closer to that 11 o'clock deadline in the UK, 12 o'clock in Brussels. Suzanne Evans, Leave campaigner, is still with me. The atmosphere is incredible, it has to be said.
Absolutely amazing. It really is. I've never seen anything like it. You know, I've been to rallies here before, Brexit rallies. This is something else. It really is.
24 hours ago, you tweeted, "One more sleep, sleep tight. Don't let the Remainers bite. When the clock strikes 11, is it time to end this ugly political discourse we've seen on both sides of this debate?"
Yeah, absolutely. When it's 11 o'clock, when we're out, we are all leavers. Everyone in the country becomes a leaver, whichever side of the argument that they were on. And we've all got to pull together to get behind our country and make it work. And I think that's what we will do, because anyone now who, really wanted to stay in, that's quite an easy argument to make. I think rejoining the EU is not something that there's any appetite for in the country at all.
I can't see the most famous clock face in the world. It's covered up because of the renovations. And it's about 5 minutes to that deadline, that momentous moment. How do you think you're going to feel? Do you think it's going to be emotional or a moment of jubilation?
Do you know what? I've already started welling up a bit. I feel dreadful, but I have. It's a really emotional moment. A lot of us have fought long and hard for this, and all the people in the country, those 17.4 million people who voted, when they were told that they shouldn't, that they were daft, that they were stupid, they believed in this country, they voted for this country, and oh my gosh, such amazing thing.
Suzanne Evans, thank you very much. Well, we never really perhaps fully understood what Theresa May's Brexit means, but we do know this party was organised by Leave Means Leave. It certainly does. I think this party might go on for some time. Tom?
OK, Nina, thank you very much. And we are almost there. Brexit is just a few seconds away, as we can see from one of the uncovered faces of Big Ben. 11 o'clock here, that's midnight European time. On the last day of January 2020, we have reached the final moments of the UK's membership of the European Union. In most of our daily lives, we won't notice the difference until the transition period runs out at the end of the year. But the UK will no longer have a say about what happens in the EU, no skin in the game, no influence at the top table. It is a moment many have dreamed of, some have dreaded, but it is very nearly upon us. 47 years at the heart of a project, and here we go. It is done. We are out, officially out of the European Union after almost half a century. The will of the majority of the British people has been granted 1,317 days after it was first expressed. So what will it mean for all of us? What does the future hold? The scenes of total celebration, as you can see there in Parliament. Square rapture, joy, possibly all over the country where people are celebrating. There's Edinburgh, where you see a very different reaction, sombre. Allegra, Robert, Jane, chip in here. This is an extraordinary moment after all the debate and the argument and the division. Here we are.
Yeah, I mean, look, I do feel slightly moved, certainly a bit anxious. And we've got to hope that actually those rather different voices on the European issue, Tony Blair and Boris Johnson, are right. They both said today, we've got to make the best of this. We've got to seize the opportunity that actually directing our fate gives us. There are certainly costs. Michael Gover's talked about them. Friction on the border will bring cost to business, but there are also opportunities, and we've got to grab them.
That's quite the party in Parliament Square, isn't it? Really, look, there's Nigel Farage on stage with the other Richard Tice just near him. But that is
it's a bittersweet moment for Nigel Farage, and he largely brought this about, but he is now redundant. I think he would say that, wouldn't he? I think he would say...
Well, he'd sort of say he's waiting to see whether Boris Johnson honours what he said in terms of leaving the transitional arrangements at the end of the year. But he's got a sort of watching brief for a bit.
I think, one of the things that we can't underestimate here is
belting out the national anthem. Sorry to interrupt, Jane, but there they are, singing the national anthem.
Let's just listen to coming off his...
Sorry, I'll pick up with you in a moment, but just as listen to it for a moment, because... I love the way they've put the words up on the screen. Jane, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we've talked a lot about things not changing and, lots of uncertainty about what's going to happen. But we can't underestimate the importance of symbolism in politics. If you're a Leave voter, you thought democracy was just in an absolute shocking state for the last 3.5 years, and here's your moment. So that satisfaction with democracy, that pride, that kind of excitement and real joy.
Well, this is fireworks over Morley. I mean, we talked about, Ed Balls' old seat, once upon a time, hard to imagine being Tory, and yet, here they're celebrating Brexit.
And these are the areas in the country, those more rural areas, outside cities, coastal areas, not Morley, but, these parts of the country that have really felt like they've been excluded from the national conversation.
I mean, there is so much that government can do in terms of investing in trains, railways, infrastructure, and trying to encourage economic regeneration. But as you say, the intangible part of all of this is whether British people feel fired up to make more of the assets we've got.
But surely the most significant thing about this moment is Boris Johnson is nowhere to be seen and knows. and this is the Prime Minister, probably the person in the country who enjoys a party the most.
This is genuinely extraordinary. We're just going to change the picture here. Carry on talking, but this is the Rock Pub in Blackwood in Caerphilly in Wales. It looks as if celebrations
I'm sure
may go
in private,
on a while
inside
yet.
Downing Street, they are having a great evening, but they are not letting it be seen. And they're not letting it be seen because in my family and friends, there are many Remain voters. We are all Leavers now, as somebody said earlier, but there were many people that are watching these images who are over the moon, and there'll be many people watching these images.
But it is odd, nonetheless, you would expect somebody who rode to power on that single slogan of Get Brexit Done, the fact that he's been so little in...
Because they are acutely aware.
Can I just say, you
the
said we were all
sensitivities.
Brexiteers now. This is the cathedral city of Ely in Cambridgeshire. The chimes of 11 o'clock have been marked with a candlelit vigil by supporters of the European Union. The Ely for Europe group has campaigned all along. Yeah.
So I think the reality for the United Kingdom is somewhere in the middle now.
You couldn't get more of a contrast. Well, this is a good moment to go and speak to the man who arguably did more than anyone else to make it happen, Nigel Farage, who I believe is waiting to talk to us, although I can't actually see him. Oh, there he is. Yes, Nigel, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Hello there.
Let's face it, wherever you stand, this is quite a historic moment. What are your own personal reflections? It took you many, many, many years to get here. You must have often thought you weren't going to make it. What's your feeling tonight?
Well, you're right. I mean, 27 years of campaigning, and many of them I thought maybe I'd become the patron saint of lost causes. But hey, here we are in Parliament Square. We've left the European Union. We've become a free, independent, sovereign country. And the remarkable thought I've got is that this is a grassroots rebellion that overturned the establishment. And it proves something. Whatever the faults in our system, we're still a democratic nation. And I think all over the country, there are huge celebrations going on.
This is a new beginning for sure. What do you personally most want to see in a year or 3 years or 5 years? What's the change that you would be most hanging out for?
I want to see our self-confidence come back. I'm sick to death of hearing people say we're not big enough, we're not strong enough, we're not good enough to negotiate our own trade deals, make our own laws. Let's start to believe in Britain. Let's start to believe in our people. And then let's start to reach out to other parts of the world, the Commonwealth, America. There's a huge world out there. Europe is a small backyard. This is a very, very exciting prospect, but we must start to believe in ourselves.
There's huge celebrations behind you. It's obviously brought great joy to a great many people tonight. There are people, as you well know, who are not celebrating, for whom it's a very sad evening. What would you say to them tonight?
Even Tony Blair today said, we are leaving, don't look backwards, let's get on and make a success of it. And if Lord Adonis doesn't want to use the 50p coin, he looks like a member of the Flat Earth Society. It's done. The war is over. Let's move on.
What does this mean for you personally? As we discussed at the start of this interview, you have campaigned for this for so many years. It's dominated so many aspects of your life. I mean, are you done with politics? Are you retiring? Do you move on to another cause?
No, I will keep a watching brief on the next stage. If Boris Johnson sticks to his promises, I will praise him to the rafters. If he starts to give in, then I'll start to sound the alarm bell. No, I'm not going to run away. I want to see this through to the very end. But the important thing is, tonight, we've passed the point of no return. It's a massive, huge, historic moment.
Enjoy your celebration. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. I think we can be sure of that. Now, in a moment, we'll hear from Leave voters how it feels to finally be out. And
new and a greater united Europe.
No, no, no.
We will give the British people a referendum.
a look back through the archive at how it came to this, the characters and the casualties of half a century of in and now out of Europe. Join me for that in just a couple of minutes.
Dr. Dolittle, you can talk to animals.
Yes. I'm too beautiful to die.
Do you understand the words coming out of my bill?
Hello, Daddy. Hello, lunch.
You can't outsmart...
Oh, what's that? A cat is still a cat. Dolittle.
Prestige, please. The #1 skincare brand in the UK, it's #7. Protect and Perfect Intense Advanced Serum with pro-retinol, Matrixol 3000+, and hyaluronic acid. Clinically proven to reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. The UK's #1 skincare brand, only at Boots.
The big 2020 save from Lidl brings you loads of super savings in store, and we've got great recipes waiting for you online too. If you've gone full veggie this year, or you're thinking of starting, try our red lentil dal, made with our red split lentils for 99p, and our flavour pack
Armore Quartet, and the amazing flautist The Houston Brothers. Join us for the evening on Friday the 3rd of April, St Anne's Church, Dungannon. Limited capacity, tickets on sale now.